So picture this. You've spent months, literally months, grinding through this insanely punishing, Souls-like RPG called Blood Paladin. Our main guy here, he beats the game 19 times. And on his 20th run, he decides to just absolutely max out his hero character, Age Kimchi, to level 9,999 before even touching the main quest. But right as he hits play, boom, his soul gets sucked straight into the game. Only he doesn't wake up as his incredibly overpowered hero. Nope, he wakes up as Demon King Kratos, the actual final boss of the game and the ultimate enemy of the very character he just maxed out.
Now, the sheer panic of this situation, it is off the charts. Kratos isn't just sweating because his own level 9,999 hero is eventually coming to hunt him down. Because he dropped into the boss's body at the very beginning of the game's timeline, Kratos has 0 stats. Like, absolutely zilch. He has been completely, brutally nerfed. And honestly, to make things even worse, his entire faction of demonic generals instantly smells his weakness and immediately starts plotting a mutiny to just chop his head off.
So how do you even survive a matchup that unfair? Well, Kratos has to basically take the traditional RPG rulebook and throw it straight out the window. If he tries to fight his generals, dead. If he goes outside and accidentally bumps into his own maxed out hero, instantly dead. He's stuck in this super hostile world with 0 combat skills. It completely flips that whole power fantasy thing on its head. To survive, he's got to use his brain. Specifically, he has to rely on the memories of his 19 previous playthroughs to find some kind of weird, exploitable loophole.
And here is where it gets amazing. Tapping into his real-world degree in agriculture, yet you heard that right, Kratos figures out the only way to appease this bloodthirsty army is to feed them. You see, the demon lands are literally called the Land of Death. It's the starving, desolate wasteland where demons are basically eating each other just to scrape by. Kratos knows a full belly is the absolute quickest way to stop a mutiny. So, totally confusing his vicious, battle-hardened generals, the new Demon King cancels all war plans and just announces, hey, we're starting a farm. His farming strategy is just absolute madness, but man, it works. He literally uses his most mutinous general, Asura, as a human, well, demon, lightning rod. The soil there has absolutely 0 nutrients, so Kratos uses his leftover lightning magic, blasting poor Asura over and over to force nitrogen into the dirt. Next up, he sends these terrifying, proud generals to go scrape demonic seagull manure off some crazy, impossible-to-reach cliff. And for the grand finale, he takes a highly poisonous native plant and uses this ancient, real-world Indian freeze-thaw technique to slowly turn them into edible potatoes. It is literal agricultural science mashed up with dark fantasy survival. But here's the real kicker. By totally exploiting the game's weird mechanics, Kratos figures out that feeding his starving army actually lets him buy back his lost stats. When he manages to feed this starving demon girl, the game system dings and gives him something totally out of left field, happy points or HP. Since he's somehow tapping into the true, hidden potential of the Demon King's body, every time a demon gets full and feels genuinely happy, Kratos earns these points, and he can actually spend them to permanently upgrade his stamina, defense, mental strength, and magic.
And we see this pay off big time. Earning his first batch of 51 happy points from that single harvest, it proves his agricultural loophole is the ultimate survival key. Once that first batch of safe detoxified potatoes goes out to the starving masses, the demons suddenly realize, wait, we don't have to eat each other anymore. Boom. Kratos instantly racks up 51 points. He can finally start leveling up those pathetic 0-level stats. So this farming thing, it's not just about dodging a mutiny anymore. It is literally his main progression system. Now, this whole farming loophole becomes so much more than just growing crops. It turns into the ultimate tool for psychological warfare and team building. I mean, remember, these 4 generals were ready to slit his throat on day 1. But Kratos uses his deep encyclopedic knowledge of the game's lore to manipulate them, and eventually, he actually starts to care for them. He gives the totally neglected musclehead Ball a real sense of purpose. He strokes the arrogant Hearttalk's ego, praising his intellect and making him the head of agriculture. He treats the super icy Sergi with genuine respect. And he literally domesticates the violently unhinged Ashurat just by feeding him a steady supply of potatoes. But everything really shifts during this one massive turning point. Kratos actually pushes way past his own physical limits to save Ball, which cements their loyalty for good and triggers a massive system reward. They're out trying to scale this crazy cliff for fertilizer, right? And the heavy general, Ball, slips and nearly falls to his death. Kratos gets this flashback to his past life where he selfishly abandoned a friend who was struggling. He refuses to do it again. He pushes his horribly nerfed body to the absolute breaking point just to haul Ball back up. Seeing this supposedly evil Demon King pull off an act of completely selfless sacrifice totally shatters Ball's hostile worldview. It earns Kratos the genuine ride-or-die admiration of his entire army. Of course, it's not all just peaceful potato farming. The farm soon faces some deadly threats from rival demon lords, forcing Kratos into these high-stakes chronological boss battles. This rival lord, Sul, figures out that Kratos has stopped preparing for war, which Sul thinks threatens his own power. So what does he do? He sends these creepy spectral minions over to sabotage the crops and literally freeze the soil. This forces Kratos to pivot from a humble farmer back into a battlefield commander. But here's the thing. He doesn't fight like a normal general. He fights exactly like a speedrunner who has memorized every single pixel of the game's code. It is so fascinating to watch him just perfectly exploit game glitches. Like he literally abuses a wall clip glitch by rapidly unequipping and equipping his armor to just phase straight through the walls, totally bypassing Sul's dungeon defenses. When he finally steps up to the boss, he anticipates every single attack animation flawlessly. And the best part? When he summons his ultimate weapon, it is not some edgy sword of darkness. No, it is a literal throne made out of farming equipment, which he just casually drops out of the sky directly onto Sul's head to end the fight. It's brilliant. So with that threat squashed and a whole new region under his belt, Kratos heads back to the farm and introduces this ingenious real-world technique, the Three Sisters planting method. He's basically expanding his agricultural empire now. He plants corn to act as a tall, vertical trellis. He plants beans to naturally suck nitrogen right back into the dirt. And he plants pumpkins because those massive leaves act as ground cover to trap moisture and block out weeds. It is this beautifully cooperative, interconnected system which perfectly mirrors how his once totally divided demon army is finally working together.
But just as you think they can relax, a massive disaster strikes. The humidity suddenly shifts and boom, a rapid fungal infection just absolutely wipes out their entire cornfield. And even worse, Kratos realizes that all the crops they've been growing are sterile. They can't actually produce seeds for the next harvest. If he doesn't get his hands on some stable, non-sterile seeds immediately, the entire demon race is going straight back to starvation and cannibalism. Left with zero options, he chugs a metamorphosis potion and sneaks into the human kingdom disguised as a diplomatic envoy.
While he's making this desperate journey, his group stumbles across a human expedition that gets caught in this massive, trap-triggered cave-in. Now, Kratos knows that if he uses his magic here, he's totally blowing his cover and revealing his demonic powers. But instead of just walking away and letting them die, he instantly burns through 15,000 painstakingly earned happy points. He summons these massive demonic spikes to prop up the collapsing ceiling, literally saving the lives of the very humans who were raised from birth to absolutely hate him. This moment completely turns the evil demon trope totally upside down. The humans are just utterly bewildered. They are staring up at this terrifying horned demon lord who just gave up a huge chunk of his own life force to keep them from being crushed to death. It completely shatters everything they thought they knew about the world. And honestly, it's the only reason they don't attack him on sight, which opens the door for some actual diplomacy when they finally make it to the human capital to meet the king. So, standing right there in the throne room, before the human king, King Dior, Kratos makes his pitch. He pleads for an agricultural trade deal instead of war. Now, King Dior is fully ready to just execute him right there on the spot. But then Kratos literally drops to his knees. I mean, an act completely unheard of for a demon king. He begs. He tells them straight up he didn't come to conquer. His people are literally starving to death. He just wants seeds. This crazy display of vulnerability and genuine leadership, it actually forces the king to stop and listen. And it's a good thing he did, because right as they start negotiating, this corrupted, ancient, angelic defense statue suddenly activates. It tries to just obliterate the entire city in this really misguided attempt at purification. Kratos and his demon generals instantly step up. They fight off the celestial superweapon and save the human citizens. King Dior is so incredibly grateful that he gifts Kratos the Scabbard of Camellan. It's this ultra-rare item that constantly purifies poison. And Kratos, he's already secretly plotting to use it to detoxify a massive swamp back home so he can start farming rice. So, with the seeds and that super rare scabbard secured, Kratos and his generals march back home, feeling pretty triumphant. But the second they arrive at their beautifully flourishing farm, they just freeze. Standing right there in the dirt, wearing this totally ridiculous, overpowered endgame gear, is Age Kimchi, the exact character Kratos used to play.
The ultimate level 9,999 boss killer just hanging out in his garden. But here is the ultimate plot twist. Age Kimchi? He hasn't come to fight. The guy is having a complete, full-blown mental breakdown. It turns out, over the last 10 playthroughs, he's actually kept his memories. He remembers mindlessly slaughtering all these demons, who were, in reality, just trying to survive. He realizes he has zero free will, and that he's just been a puppet for the game's system this whole time. Drowning in guilt and totally lost, he sought out the one single entity in the world who might actually understand the rules of this universe, the Demon King.
So Kratos is now staring face to face with his own creation, a walking weapon of mass destruction, having a literal identity crisis right in the middle of his potato patch. It's wild. Will Age Kimchi figure out that Kratos is actually the player who used to control him? And maybe more importantly, can Kratos somehow recruit the most powerful hero in the entire world to help him run his farm? Well, that is a question we'll have to answer next time in this explainer. What do you guys think he's going to do?